Despite the lopsided scores in Game 1 and Game 2 against the Carolina Hurricanes, there is reason to believe the Boston Bruins can come back in this series. However, they'll have to do it tonight without Hampus Lindholm, and they're going with Jeremy Swayman in net over Linus Ullmark. Will there be any more lineup changes? We'll have to see here as the morning skate is upon us. But we're going to talk about all this and more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, rocking the vintage Bruins hat today. And I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. The podcast is free and available on all platforms, as well as on YouTube. And I really do appreciate all those who listen on a regular basis, a daily basis, making it your first listen every day. Thank you so much. Today is Friday, May 6th. We are about 8 hours away from Game 3 of a first-round series between our Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. The Bruins down 0-2 in the series and have to be as good as they have been down the stretch in order to get back in this series. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first a quick reminder to follow at Locked NHL Bruins on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. Still personally in COVID-19 protocols. Had to miss my first 3-pitch game of the season last night, which was a bummer, but hopefully getting better as the weekend progresses. So the Bruins have been outscored 10-3 in this series so far. 8-3 if you remove empty net goals. Dating back to the regular season, they have just been schooled by the Carolina Hurricanes since the beginning of 2021-2022. So why do I think it's possible they could come back in this series? Well, if we look at the underlying numbers, the Bruins, as of this morning, have been the better team 5-on-5. In fact, out of all 16 teams, they rank 4th in shot attempts for in 5-on-5 play. They have 96 attempts versus 76 for the Carolina Hurricanes. When it comes to shots, they are second, 54 shots for, 36 shots against. Again, this is at 5-on-5. High danger chances for the Bruins rank 5th, 26-20. And when it comes to expected goals for, the Bruins rank 3rd, 4.18 to 2.46. Now, obviously where this series has shifted is special teams and Boston's inability to score at 5-on-5. Their shooting percentage through 2 games at 5-on-5 is 3.7. That's 15th out of all 16 NHL teams. The Calgary Flames, if you can believe it, have failed to score at 5-on-5. They are 1-1 in their series. Boston's goaltending has also been an issue. Their save percentage 5-on-5 is 83.33, and that comes back to Bruce Cassidy talking the other day about the timely saves. Longtime listeners of the podcast know that I have spoken before about PDO. That is shooting percentage and save percentage added together with the belief that most teams will average out around an even 100 over the course of a season, or that's where they should be. If you look at all uh, 16 teams at the moment, number 8 in PDO is the St. Louis Blues at 1.006. Ninth, Minnesota Wild, 0.994. So right in the middle of those two teams, 8 and 9 is that 100 mark. The Bruins right now are 16th at 0.870. That's because of their low shooting percentage and because of their low save percentage at 5-on-5. So here's why there's reason for optimism. If that number, even tonight, can begin to move closer to that 100 level, the Bruins should be okay. They're getting the lion's share of shot attempts, shots, high danger chances, expected goals. I don't want to blame it all on puck luck and say the Bruins should be up 2-0. They should have won those two games. Obviously, there are reasons why they're down 2-0 in this series. A lot of that is their inability to score on the power play. A lot of that is being penalized quite frequently in Game 2, where, the Hurricanes went 2 for 9 in the power play, were given many, in fact, 3 5-on-3 opportunities, so the Bruins were playing shorthanded quite often. They were also on the power play for a bit, made good on one of those opportunities. Assume the majority 5-on-5. The Bruins have been the better team. Therefore, if they can get out to a good start in Game 3, maybe get a goal or two past, either Kochetkov or Antti Ranta, both of whom are skating this morning. So Ranta will be back. Alexander, who covers the Hurricanes, saying Kochetkov is in the starter's crease. So again, as is Jeremy Swayman. The Bruins need to be all over him early and try to make things more difficult for the youngster. If they can capitalize early, then they have a good chance of coming out of this one down 2-1 in the series. Far ahead, take it one game at a time. That's for the Bruins. To go with Swayman and also the injury to Hampus Lindholm, but it appears as though I was right in my assessment that there was going to be at least one change on the forward lines, and that is for Trent Frederic. Multiple reporters who are on the scene at morning skate pointing to Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak on the top line, Taylor Hall, Eric Haula, Jake DeBrusk on the second line, Thomas Nosek jumping up on the third line to play with Charlie Coyle and Craig Smith. And then on the fourth line, you have Nick Foligno, Curtis Lazar, and Chris Wagner. Chris Wagner, of course, had played all season for the Providence Bruins. He was recalled prior to the postseason for the final game against the Maple Leafs. Experience. He can play a similar as the experience to kind of season for Providence. 12 in 62 games, and the Bruins will be leaning on his experience and his abilities in this one, to be sure. So that's, and it is coming to fruition. Chris Wagner coming in for Trent Frederic, and he'll play on the fourth line. Now, before we move on to Hampus Lindholm status, the decision to play tonight. With summer coming, you're going to need some food on the go, and Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on or to the beach, on a hike. They're healthy and delicious. You don't have to good tasting snacks for a health bar. You can have both. Easy. All you have to do is .com and order. Built Bar, make sure there's something for everyone with their delicious raspberry, double chocolate, so many more. They're delicious. There's new flavors coming out all the time. And they make them taste great first, and then make sure they're healthy with about 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15%. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off. I want to thank you so much again for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts, free and available wherever you get podcasts. All right, so again, Chris Wagner coming in for Trent Frederic, Thomas Nosek being bumped up to the third line. I can't say I love that per se. I would have maybe rather, I don't know if Nick Foligno would be up there, but you need someone who can play with Coyle and Smith if you're taking Frederic out. They did have a lot of chemistry, but Thomas Nosek doesn't really have a nose for the net, although his name might suggest otherwise. And so it will be difficult to see them generating much offense, but if they can play strong defensively, then that will be a bonus. Now, Jeremy Swayman will be getting the start, making his postseason debut. His first career playoff start as well. He played last year, but in relief of Tuukka Rask. Bruce Cassidy said he thought Ullmark has been fine. They've got to do a better job at the other end. But if it ends up being a 2-1 game, they need a performance where they get that timely save and give guys some life. That's where they're at right now. They're scoring goals. They're not giving many up. That is the Carolina Hurricanes. And say they go down 2-1, they need Swayman to keep it 2-1 instead of the past 2 games where it's gotten to 4-1, 4-2, and then they kick in that empty netter to seal it. Cassidy's not saying that Ullmark is the reason they lost. He's not, but Swayman's going to be in there. He'll get his opportunity. They talked maybe at some point using both, so it's going to be Swayman Friday night, and hopefully he's up for the task. They're also forced to make a change on the blue line, where Mike Reilly is coming in for Hampus Lindholm, who was ruled out after leaving Game 2 with an upper body injury. I listened to the 32 Thoughts podcast this morning where Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman discussed the fact that Lindholm and Rickard Rakell were both injured the other night on heavy hits. And they wondered if the fact that the Ducks hadn't played in the postseason for a while, both players had been kind of in, I don't want to say, easy mode or kind of just playing as though they knew they weren't going to be in the playoffs before being traded. But they didn't have that mentality, perhaps, and that's maybe a reason why they may have let their guards down or what have you, resulting in those hits. That's just their theory. It's interesting, but and we know that Lindholm didn't play too many games with the Bruins as well to get in that playoff mode. food for thought anyways. Hopefully he's okay and could be back at some point in the series. But Reilly going in for now. He's a left shot. He's played a lot of games with the Bruins. He's played with McAvoy. He's played with Carlo. So there shouldn't be any adjustment period in terms of who he's playing with. The adjustment period for him will be getting injected into a very intense physical playoff series. Again, that goes into not playing heavy, intensive hockey down the stretch. He's got to be prepared for that type of hockey. And then yesterday he did say that there could be some changes to the forwards, and we're seeing that. At the morning skate, Reilly has been paired with McAvoy, Grizzly Carlo, and then Forbort and Clifton. So that's the lineup that we have for the Bruins. Not all four lines getting a new look for the Bruins to start. The so-called perfection eggplant line, as I like to call them, reunited up top. DeBrusk playing with Hall and Holla. Nosek, Coyle Smith, Foligno, Lazar, Wagner. With all those changes in the bottom six, not sure if it's wise to change what had been working up top, but that's what Bruce Cassidy has decided to do for the time being. We could see things mixed up, of course, as we go along. Again, the Bruins have been the better team 5-on-5, one of the better teams in the playoffs through 2 games, small sample size, of course. And that only means as much as you are able to put the puck in the net. They need to get at Kokachev early. They need to score early. They need to limit their penalties. All the cliches need to be broken out. A full 60, pucks in deep, hard to the net, finish your checks, score early, score often, take control of the game, keep the crowd in it, and let the Carolina Hurricanes know that they cannot come into TD Garden once again and embarrass the Bruins on home ice like they did on Willie O'Ree night. I want to talk now about BetOnline, your number one source for all betting stats and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs, hockey playoffs, Major League Baseball, and this weekend's run to the Roses as the Kentucky Derby is back. BetOnline is your continued source for all sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today, use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action at BetOnline, where the game starts. I wanted to touch on some supplemental discipline that was handed down to the Bruins after Game 2. Boston's Brad Marchand was fined $5,000 for slashing Carolina goalie Kochetkov, and Derek Forbort was fined $5,000 for high-sticking Teuvo Teravainen. He got a 4-minute minor for that one. No fines for Kochetkov, who initiated that with Marchand by slashing him first, well out of his crease. Interestingly as well, no fine to Pasternak, despite the fact that he injured Antti Ranta. No doubt there will be some chippiness in tonight's game, and the Bruins need to keep things under control, not take those extra penalties in the scrums, allow Carolina to try to initiate things, but stand down, don't take that extra minor, and play smart, disciplined hockey. So that is the scene here. Heading into Game 3, goes tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time at TD Garden. It's easy to write the Bruins off because of how Carolina has played against them all season, and injury to Lindholm. I don't want to, it's also easy to say, look, the Bruins have done it before in the past. They were down 0-2 to Montreal in 2011 after losing 2 games at home. They were down 0-2 to the Vancouver Canucks in the final that year. It's difficult to do. It's not unheard of. And obviously tonight is a pivotal game. If they go down 3-0, that's only happened very rarely. We know it's happened. It can happen as Bruins fans, but very unlikely to happen. So they need to win tonight. They need to come out guns blazing and lay the body, get a puck behind the goalie, and then go from there. A few other games on tap tonight. The Leafs Lightning will be playing, as well as the who else is playing tonight? Blues Wild, and what's the other game? Oilers Kings. I'll of course be watching the Bruins game. Still off sick today, so be checking out the season finale of Outer Range, which I'm very much enjoying, right up my alley. While being off with COVID, I've watched The Batman, finished Moon Knight. What else? Gonna check out the newest episode of Under the Banner of Heaven, which is really great. If you haven't seen that yet, do check that out over the weekend. And hopefully, we'll have hockey to talk about on Monday when we're back here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. Obviously, we'll have Game 4 to talk about. Hopefully, a Game 5 as well. Since the Bruins do play tonight and Sunday, probably I'll jump on tomorrow and record a bonus podcast to talk about tonight's game. And hopefully it's a happy podcast. But yeah, the top 6 tonight I think will be key. They really need to carry the load. The bottom 6 needs to be smart. Don't take those extra penalties. Forecheck. Clear the zone. Give Swayman all the support he needs. Play smart hockey. And I think the Bruins should be okay tonight. Let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree with my take heading into tonight's game, hit me up at Locked NHL Bruins or at Ian C. McLaren. And I'm going to grab some rest before tonight's game. And I hope you all have had a great week. Happy Friday. Go Bruins. Wearing the Marvel shirt right now, but I'm going to break out the Pevs jersey for tonight for some positive 2011 vibes. Share with me at Locked NHL Bruins your fit for tonight's game. And yeah, let's do this. Thanks for checking out today's podcast. Check out the Locked NHL podcast in your feeds for your second listen. And we'll be back here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast sometime over the weekend. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Take care, friends.